Hello everyone, I'm Natalie Crist. Welcome to Tripping on Legends. This is episode 13, The Story of the Singing River. Continuation from episode 12, which hopefully you've just finished listening to and you enjoyed. We've decided to cut our episodes down to 1 hour, making it a more enjoyable and easier listen for you guys. This is based upon some really great positive feedback that we got from one of our listeners, and hopefully you'll enjoy. What you're about to hear is the actual trip itself, going to the Singing River to investigate the legend.
And we're back!
Short little break.
It's a short little break. If we were a real podcast, that's where we would put our commercial for Audible or Squarespace.
Why does it be Audible, man?
Because
why can't it be something cool?
Okay, first of all, Audible's pretty darn cool. And second of all, what are you talking about? You just read American Gods on Audible.
I read half of American Gods on Audible, first of all, because I couldn't find the time to read anymore. So in that way, Audible is neat. However, it wasn't really my favorite. Like, the voices that Audible had were not the voices that my imagination had created.
Well, that was a special edition, by the way. Mm-hmm. That they brought guest people on to do different voices. Usually Audible's one person reading it all the time. So there's less, and they do like little voices or whatever, but
I don't think I would enjoy that at all.
Okay, but that's traditionally podcasts have those kind of advertisements in it.
For Audible?
For Audible. Audible, Squarespace, yeah. Blue Apron.
All right.
Snack things. I listen to a lot more podcasts.
I'm going to reach out more to like Ancestry.com and...
Okay. So, no, I'm with you, or, someone that'll give us cool stuff, but we're not there yet. It was just a joke that's now gone on too long.
Fine, whatever. You can get rid of this part if you want to.
I'm not. It's gold.
Gilded.
Yeah, I know, it's just the theme. So, the reason why, because we've already reached like the 1 hour mark, right? So the reason why I feel like it was important and that where we were rambling and we were kind of doing that stuff was because the legend, first of all, we've done the most research on this legend. Mm-hmm. And it also seems to be the one that is most known by the community.
Well, or was known by the community, rather. Nobody knows about it anymore.
Nobody knows about it anymore, but, I mean, it definitely is...
Maybe, hopefully, I'm hoping
help to build the community, I should say, at least.
I'm hoping that we can reawaken the community's interest into the land they're living on.
Right.
That's truly my
And in doing this, both trips we took to this area, we've made some connections in Bradenton.
Yeah.
And they're reposting some of our stuff, and so it's hopefully we'll get. I got another one today from another Bradenton like business type thing.
That's awesome.
So
we were really hoping that the Herald or the Bradenton Herald would take note and kind of pick that up.
They did not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right. But I felt that there was we needed to establish the playground and establish the legend. So I think it was okay that we talked for a while about it because...
I hope so. I hope people understand that we needed to set up the play. I mean, it was set up the background of what you're listening to.
And the other thing that's important to note is that this seems to have been, whether it's natural phenomenon like the...
Jack Leffing will.
Like good old Jack was talking about, or something else, which I'll get into.
Mm-hmm. What was that? Some kind of a sick vacuum cleaner.
That the phenomenon of the singing seems to be a real thing.
Absolutely, or was a real thing.
That people felt the need to explain a few different ways.
Right, explain and notate.
What was...
And pass down. And it, I mean, it was everywhere. So, I mean, the fact that it's not more widely known blows my mind.
Right.
I mean, there's so many different sources for this.
I mean, and if you look at some of the things that we came across serendipitously during the trip, the markings are still there. Like, it's still, the legend is still there. And
we went and had a little adventure through Bradenton for a whole day. I mean, it was incredible, the things that we found by accident.
Our initial going out there was, visit the spring, right?
Find the
spring and visit the spring.
Right.
That was as part of the research. Visit Rocky Bluff. We wanted to visit Rocky Bluff Library to do the research and see if we could find Jack's original writing. And also to there was one other thing that we really wanted to do too. Oh, to see the historical society, where the
See the
spring.
historical
That's where the
village.
spring was.
Right.
Right. We've
Which
discovered
we
where the
didn't
spring
know
was.
that until right before going up there.
Right.
We'd
So
done some more research and found that the spring was located in what is now the historical village, Manatee Historical Village.
So, in the few days leading up to the trip, we had some weird things happen,
Yeah.
which is kind of par for the course for us, it seems now. So, one of them was, why don't you tell your bird part first?
The bird part
Yeah.
first? Okay. I mean, it was just, it's strange in that I've never had anything like this happen to me before. I'm driving to work one morning. I've had plenty of coffee, so I know it's not sleep deprivation that caused this weird, strange occurrence. I'm driving and I am behind a white work truck, and all of a sudden I see a bird fly into the windshield of, like, the bird was coming across the road and got hit by the windshield of this white work truck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, horrifying in itself. So just like, oh, what a way to start a morning, gross.
Right.
You know what I mean? And morbidity got the best of me. And I looked back as I was passing them because the truck had stopped to turn. The truck didn't react at all, like didn't slam on its brake. If I'm hitting a bird, I'm slamming on my brakes.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I'm slamming on my brakes. I'm probably pulling to the side to see if I could save the bird, put it in a shoebox, take it to the animal hospital,
Right.
go the whole 9 yards. They didn't even stop. So I thought that was weird, but I didn't think much of it at the time until after I was reflecting. So they were turning left, and so I was passing them. They were in a turning lane, I was passing them, going straight, continuing straight. I looked back, like I said, just out of morbid curiosity, to see, the bird. And there was no trace that this truck had hit the bird. Not one feather anywhere. And it's not like I was speeding by. I was going roughly 30.
Right.
On this, it's a 1-lane road with like turnoffs. So as I passed them, I did a double take too, because I was like, where are the blood and guts of the bird? What's happening? Okay, wrote it off as just a strange thing and just kept on driving. And then I told you about it later. Like, never have had this happen. What do you make of this?
And in the interim of that happening to her,
Wait, did you just see that?
yeah,
Did you just see that?
yeah,
That was a feather that just
Yeah.
fell in front of me.
yeah, that's creepy. I don't even know where that came from.
That just came from nowhere. That just fell right in front of me.
Yeah, goosebumps.
Holy fucking shit.
Okay.
Excuse my language.
We'll edit that part out.
Oh my god.
That goes with your swearing at least one time during every episode. Not really used to this recording thing of putting your filter on, but yes. A feather just fell as she was telling that story.
Out of nowhere. I mean, we're in my living room.
Right.
There's no reason for feathers.
No feathers.
But I guess there's the feather I was looking for in the truck.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so, in the interim of that happening, I know. In the interim of that happening, I found 2 dead birds in my yard.
Baby
So it was baby bird. So it was kind of like a weird, like I have not seen a dead bird in 20 years. And it just happened to be you were talking about something mysterious that had happened to you. Then there were birds in my yard, so we were on the lookout for birds.
So while we were in Bradenton, we were like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And who knows if this is cognitive bias or what, if we've been reading something about birds, not really taking it in. So we went there thinking, okay, well, look for anything to do with birds. Just keep your eyes open.
But the really weird thing that happened was when you tried to find the significance of the birds.
Right.
So you typed into Google what? Do you remember what you typed in?
Yes.
Was it like dead bird meaning or something like that?
If you give me 1 second, if you want to pause this,
Okay.
and I'll find it.
Or I can actually do a Squarespace commercial while you're looking.
Do a Squarespace commercial while we're
Okay.
looking. Do it.
Are you looking to create a great splash page for your... I really don't.
I don't even know what a Squarespace is,
Okay.
actually. What is a Squarespace?
It's internet. It's websites. You build your own website.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to go.
Okay. But it's probably not overly important that we get the exact terms.
Oh, it
here.
is because if I searched anything else, it didn't come up.
Okay.
That was the really cool part about it. Okay. So several days later,
Yeah.
before we went on our trip,
Yeah.
I was searching for like the meaning of what I had just seen or what I had witnessed. You know, just kind of, I'd had other bird occurrences, strange occurrences. In past years, but nothing for a very long time. So I was thinking, okay, there has to be a meaning behind what I saw. Somebody's trying to tell me something. So I typed in, what is the meaning of seeing a bird getting hit by a car, but it's not really there.
So just so you know, there is a Natalie's dog. My dog has pretty much fallen asleep, but Natalie's dog seems to be crying. So if you're hearing something in the background, it's the dog and not anything paranormal.
Right.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Because he just started crying when the feather fell, so.
Really? You're gonna freak me out?
Okay. Okay, so you typed in.
Wait. Would you please just go check on her?
Okay, you keep searching while I go check.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
pause. Okay, so sorry, we had to take a quick break because there's a section of Natalie's house where some weird things have happened. And as the feather was falling, her dog was now, was drawn to that place and was kind of whimpering and crying. But we did also in the interim find what she had put for in the.
Okay.
In
just
Google.
very rudimentary. Meaning behind seeing a bird get hit by a car, but nothing there. I searched it, right? I know, funny.
Very specific about
And
what you
so
were searching
Google
for.
pulls up a 2005 book by Laura Hildick Burge called The Singing River Story.
I mean, randomly,
So I click on it.
there's
obviously,
nothing in that title that says anything about
Right.
a singing river, and yet it pulls up randomly this book.
It pulls up this book, so I click on it to see how did Google take me here. Why did Google take me here? Because it had the word car highlighted. That's why Google decided to.
Right, and
Bring
bird
me
probably
here.
is somewhere in there.
Bird's not even in this passage. It's car, there, and seeing.
Okay.
And so this brings me to like page 40 of this book. Obviously, I started reading it like what, because the first thing I see is Singing River Story, the old Indian stood in the shade of the old oak tree. So I'm immediately pulled in like oak, Indian.
Oak, Indian, pretty much the theme of our Florida trips has been
Right,
oak and.
right.
Okay.
So I was pulled in and I immediately like, Chris, look at this. Oh my God, sent it to him.
So, basically, you found a romance novel based on or touching upon a similar folk tale, Native American folk tale about a singing river
About
in
Singing
Mississippi.
River, right, in Mississippi.
Now, what you don't know, what Natalie doesn't know, that I discovered about a half hour ago, was that the Chickawa, is that how it would be pronounced?
I'm not sure.
Chickawa, because we actually contacted the writer, and she's willing to talk to us about some of the
Very cool.
legends and kind of the connections. And she was very quick to be like, "Oh, these are two very different legends."
Okay.
It would seem from the tone of her email. But
It's the Choctaw
the Choctaw, okay,
and the Cherokee.
and the Cherokee. The Choctaw came down and helped to mold the personality of the Seminole. I just discovered that when I was trying to
How
find
did you
out when
discover that?
when I was just looking to see when the Seminole nation was founded.
Oh.
It talked about as the Seminoles were coming together, some of the refugees from that tribe came down
Wow, neat.
and influenced the Seminoles. So
that is pretty neat. As I was just looking at this again, do you remember the only bird thing that we saw during our trip to Bradenton? The only thing that I was like, oh, there it is again.
no.
An owl.
Oh, right. We kept seeing the owl statues everywhere.
So as I'm reading through this, in chapter 19 is spotted owl, first cousin of fighting cougar and running deer. I just thought that was neat. Now everything just kind of like ties together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So our goal, so we hit the road. Kind of with that in the back of our minds, we hit the road. Our first goal was to go to Rocky Bluff
Our first goal
Library.
Was library, yeah.
However,
There was a massive fire.
massive fire on 75. So we did not get into Bradenton until it was closed.
We tried so hard.
So hard.
So hard to get there, and it was like 15 minutes after 5, and they closed at 5, and just our luck, you know?
Right.
So we took it as a sign that, okay, not supposed to go there today. Let's continue on.
Okay.
So Chris pulls into Bradenton, and he sees the water. We go over a bridge.
Because I wanted like an establishing shot of here we are in Bradenton.
Right. So on a whim, not even like, you know, I think you saw a brown sign, and you were
Right.
like, oh, something historical. But in the real, like, split second, I was like, what are you doing turning? That's not where we were on our way to the historical village.
Right.
I should say. That's not where we're supposed to go. Nope, want to see the water. Okay, fine. Pulls into this over 55 mobile home community, essentially, that had been there since the early 1900s. And pulls in, and there it is on the water. There's docks and everything. And so we park, we get out, we explore the docks. There's only one other man. We said hello, exchanged pleasantries for a few moments, and
Right.
checked out the docks and did a.
I was all ready to give
Facebook.
him one of our new business cards if he knew anything, but he didn't. He didn't seem like he wanted to talk.
I know. He was just enjoying the beautiful water because
Alright.
it was a gorgeous afternoon.
I thought that he was checking up on us because we looked sketchy because we were not
He was
55.
already there. He was already there.
Okay.
We walked in like we owned the place, and they didn't
Right.
say a word. Anyway, so Chris did a Facebook Live video from the Manatee River just to kind of give the people a focal point of there's the north, there's the south. Here's what we're gonna be doing
Right.
and checking out. As we're trying to navigate our way out of the over 55 community, because
And getting lost because it was a maze.
that's what I mean. We were not able to get out because this was just like, wait a minute. Came back the way that we came in, and it was like labyrinth. They just kept changing. So we see ruins
Ruins in the middle of a trailer park, essentially.
in the middle of a trailer park.
Ruins.
Like, what the hell? What is that? This is Braden Castle. I'm like, a castle here? I'd never even heard of this.
Right.
How have I never heard of ruins an hour and a half away from where I live? I love it. You know?
Now, when we went the second time with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
it clearly does say Braden Castle is over here.
Oh, absolutely.
But I didn't see that.
No.
I didn't see that sign. It's not like I said, hey, they're ruins. Let's go check them out.
Right.
We found them by accident.
Serendipitously.
Yes.
Serendipitously. Take it from there. No, come on.
Braden,
Do this to
okay,
me.
sure. If we're looking through the story, they talk about how the one-armed Indian, lost his arm in the Battle of Braden Castle when he was one of the, was it the Calusa or were they Seminole by then? They were Seminoles, right?
I don't know.
I believe it was during one of the Seminole Wars. They attacked Braden Castle and were fought off. And this guy, who ends up being one of the major narrators of the legend, loses his arm, loses his arm.
One-armed Indian.
One-armed Indian. That's what I'm saying. One-legged, one-armed, who knows? In that battle.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was an automatic connection to the legend we were tracking
We
down
were like, oh, cool.
in these
you know?
random ruins that we found.
Right. Yeah.
And, it's odd. It's like
No, we
there's
didn't
not
even know
more...
the connection at first.
Right. We were just like, here are some ruins. Oh, Braden Castle. We've never heard about that. And there's even a reference to the battle that they're talking about, where the guy lost his arm, on the signs and everything like that. But nothing. We didn't know its relevance until we found that footnote later.
Right. Exactly.
So that was pretty cool.
I thought so.
That was pretty cool. But if we're searching for the legend, like we're not really we're on the water, but not really on the water. So I didn't get any kind of feelings of anything trapped there or anything like that.
No.
Any echo of the Battle of Bradenton
Nope.
on those ruins. They were just a really cool discovery.
Really cool discovery was a building of this great big mansion built out of shell.
Shells.
I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah.
That they built that.
Although we did get a really good picture of you singing there.
We did.
We did. I'll reshare that because it's worth
Oh,
resharing.
maybe not.
Okay.
Me singing?
Yeah.
I sang?
No, you just were making a singing motion.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
So,
Don't reshare.
we decided to, from there, go to the historic village.
Right. So we thought, might as well start here. They're saying that the springs used to be next to 75 or in that area. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we decided that, and this is where the last known spring was in this historical village.
Right. So it said, I'm not sure the terminology it used, but basically it
I
was
don't
like,
remember either.
see this little thing that you would totally go by and not even notice?
Right.
That's all that remains of the historic medicine springs, which have gone through a few different names over the course of its history.
Right.
So we get there and it is
Closed.
closed. It's closed. It's closed. Closes at 5 and it was like 5:15.
Right. Well, by that point in time, it was.
I was gonna say,
later,
yeah,
but
maybe a little later because it took us a while to
But
get
still,
to the thing.
closed.
Closed. So we're like, peeking over the fence, trying to like squeeze our hands through something. And we decided to go, there's a fire station right next there, a Braden Fire Department station.
Number 2.
And we decided to ask them, hey, is it okay if we go on your property to get some better shots so that we can find where the springs are? And they were helpful, and they were like, oh yeah, the springs are over there. The gazebo, because there was a historic gazebo, which was a replica of something that had to do with the story, which I've kind of forgotten, that whole angle.
Yeah, so have I, unfortunately.
And so we were able to get some shots of the spring, and literally it's like maybe the size of a couch.
Not even.
A love seat?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, a love seat.
And it's a
right.
little like covered.
Like you can't even see if there's springs or anything. It's
Is it
just like
divot?
this.
Is that the word they use? Divot? I can't.
No,
or
divot's
something
like a golf course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but they use some term like
culvert.
that. Culvert. That's what I'm thinking of. And that's it. Like this spring.
That
in
was the
its time,
lifeline of this
was
community.
the lifeline of the community. People would come from around the world to bathe in the
And
mystic
it used to stretch
water.
all the way from where that culvert is. They paved over it to make Manatee Road. So it was a long stretch of this spring.
Right. So we asked the guy, well, where's Manatee Road? And he's like, oh, it's right there. And we're like, oh, well, see, that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because, like, it says it was paved over. And so I'm just going to say it now so I remember it when we get to it, but if you follow that path, it's Manatee Road, and then it's the park from the back.
Oh, right.
Right. So we decided we were on the road, and you were like, we were looking for where would be the best place to be on the river at night.
Right, so we got into the car and I'm looking at the phone, like the map. You know what I mean? I pulled up the map. I was like, well, let's go back to the river. And I pull up the map and I had no idea. Here we are driving and it says Indian Springs Park.
Indian Springs Park.
I'm like, Indian Springs, all of the things that we're looking for. Go here. I have no idea what we're gonna find, but it's like 2 minutes away. So
Right.
we drive to Indian Springs Park. It's
And-
across Manatee Road, so it's on the actual river.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was incredible.
It was like this little bit of history that the world around it seems to not acknowledge.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty good sized park.
And it looks like they were very active in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It looks like this foundation. I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me.
And maybe that was their guilt from covering up the street, the spring.
Quite possibly.
But if you were to follow the path of that culvert, it would go across the roads, and then it would go into.
Indian Springs Park.
It would pretty much empty into that. What do you call it? The porta potty that was there. It would enter from right there, which is weird because then as we were there, we had the dips
Yeah.
that were in the ground. So, and then that of course would lead directly to Manatee River, which we eventually
Went right
second
there.
trip we went right off of that park.
We went right off that park and looked at and funny enough, but this was all man-made. There was rocks, like a little
Right.
outcropping of rocks that they had put there. But yeah, so there's like this big field, and it's got 10 or 12 different signs kind of painting the picture and the history of this area, of the trade that was used here, who settled this area, and then the legend.
So the same kind of setup, like when we were looking for the mini lights, and we were in that park, and it had like the history of the park,
Right, on all the
and all these little
plaques,
things.
right.
And this was, a smaller version or covered less of an area, and they were all contained to this park. And they had once again had a gazebo in there.
And little sugar fields.
I
You
love
know?
the little sugar fields because I
Love
had
little sugar
never seen sugar growing before in my
Right.
life.
Very interesting.
I didn't know what it was.
Very interesting. Bamboo shoots in the
Bamboo
middle of
shoots.
nowhere. So strange.
Was raining pretty
Yeah.
heavily. It started to rain.
Yeah.
No.
Like we have had the driest month of ever.
And we finally find something connected to this legend in a solid way, and it makes reference, one of the signs of it, and it's raining on us.
Right. Whatever. Fine. It was just a really cool find.
Right. And now one of the things I remember we were there, it was very loud with the wind and the rain going through what was
The
bamboo.
trees, yeah. Right.
So we weren't on the river, but we at least made note that, and we tried to get a recording of it, but we really couldn't,
No.
that there was definitely noise. I wouldn't have ever classified it as singing,
Right.
but it was noise. It was loud.
We were there in the middle of the afternoon, or the evening rather. Not dark out yet, still sunny. And what would have been the spring 100, 300 years ago.
Right.
The spring would have been running right
100
through
years
there.
ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, if somebody said they heard that, it really wouldn't make sense that it would only be once a month.
Right.
In May, June, and July. But maybe that's when.
That's the windy time.
who
That's
knows,
when.
right, yeah.
That's
exactly.
when. That's when in Florida, one day can be 70 and the next can be 93.
Right.
So those dramatic climate differences are what cause wind, and so maybe.
And the other thing I want to point out too is that there was not a ton of residential noise around us, even though we're in the middle of a residential
really
neighborhood.
wasn't. Second time they had ATVs and the kids were screaming
Yeah.
and stuff like
But
that.
I mean, the
pretty
first
much
time?
not. Yeah, I don't remember really hearing anything other than those
Right.
reeds.
Right. As opposed to going to the river itself and talk about loud.
Yeah.
I mean, holy guacamole.
If there was anything that would block out the singing, it would just be civilization.
Life on the Manatee River
Life
now.
on the Manatee River now. So we ate, we went to dinner, which is, we'll cover that in a future podcast. And then we decided to hit the north side of the river because we wanted to find Rocky Bluff.
Right.
So we crossed the bridge, we found, I think you typed in Rocky Bluff.
I typed in Rocky Bluff on Google Maps, and it brought us to
One of the
Woody Rooms.
Woody, which seemed as if it was fairly sketchy.
a little sketchy.
I mean, it
People
was
hanging out outside,
right. It was kind
just
of
not looking.
it was odd. It was kind of seedy, right, and yet had valet service, right, and then it seemed to have
Like he didn't really valet.
and
he
then
was just there.
he was just there, like, yeah, just take whatever you want, and then it had like apartments attached to it. Like, it wasn't like a hotel. I got the feeling it was like, do what you do, and then come here to finish the deal. It was a very weird place.
It's a very weird place.
It was a very weird place. So we broke one of the rules of legend tripping. We went on private property, but in our defense, the private property seemed like it was, and here's where we keep all our cars. Like, it said, do not enter, but we wanted to get to the river from that side because we wanted to see if we could find a bluff.
Right.
Or if we could see what was bluffy.
Something.
Right.
Without going into.
So we went
Woody
into
Roost.
what was, I guess, like, it felt like it was like a
It was a little tract of
side
land.
yard, a little tract
Right,
of
yeah.
land. So we don't recommend going onto private property, but it seemed to be separated from the main part of it, so it seemed like it was, not overly bad to do.
Right. Sure.
Sure. Couldn't get to the river.
No.
Couldn't get to the river. But loud. It was even loud there.
Right.
Like, the waves themselves were pretty loud.
The river itself was loud. Coupled that with
Right.
Woody Roost.
Woody Ruse was rocking.
Woody Roost was rocking. I mean, that is the place to be if you're seedy in Bradenton on a Saturday night.
So we went up to the valet and we asked if this was Rocky
I
Bluff.
still maintain that he's a weirdo.
No, that's why I want you to talk about that. So he's like, oh, I don't really know. I'm not from around here. I live in St. Pete, which is about a half hour away from where we were, right? So he commutes a half hour
To kind of valet. At this little tiny
At
bar.
this little tiny bar.
/ hen house. I mean, what were those little outbuildings that were?
I don't know. Hopefully, maybe someone, if they're hearing this, we'll hashtag
Woody Ruse.
Woody Ruse, and they can give us a better picture of what we didn't get.
Right. We just
Because you really needed to go to the bathroom, and you were like, I'm not going in there.
Right,
I
yeah.
might never come out.
Right. Yeah. I was not
So-
going in there.
But the weird thing about the serial killer valet,
I didn't say serial killer.
Oh,
like
okay.
just like there was something off about him.
I'm assuming drug dealer.
You really?
Like he brings his supply from St. Pete down to Bradenton, and that's kind of like the cover
The
of the
cover of
valet.
the
Is like
valet.
the cover of.
Maybe. Or whorehouse brings his. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so either way, serial killer, pimp, valet
drug
guy
dealer.
encourages us to go under the bridge.
Yes.
So we were asking about Rocky Bluff, and he's like, I don't really know. He's like, but I've heard people call it that, I guess. He's like, but you can see the river from over there. Just walk to the bridge and then go under the bridge. Now, we always
He's
want
talking about like the overpass is what he's talking about too.
Right. We here at Tripping on Legends want to encourage safety in all that you do.
Not only do not go on private property, but also if a strange drug dealer, meth, crackhead, valet, sort of valet guy, tells you to go under a bridge, do not go under
Do
said
not
bridge.
go under the said bridge. So we didn't. We decided, you know what? We're gonna go south side on this. The Timacuans, they don't know what's up. We're gonna go back to Calusaville and see what's up. So
Right.
we cross the bridge again, and we make our way to
Like
not
three
the
blocks-
same place.
Like 3 blocks over from Indian Springs Park, I would say.
Right, it was actually closer than I thought. I didn't realize how close we were to Indian Springs until the second time when we basically drove to the two locations in the daytime I saw them. So that by this time it's nighttime. We're at probably less than a mile from the bridge. So if you look at most of the shots, you can see the bridge kind of in the background.
Right.
So the bridge is there. We're looking over across to Rocky Bluff. Now, I'm going to just very quickly right now present to you, because I don't think you probably know it. You probably instinctually know it. But there is a paranormal idea known as the rock tape theory. So have you heard this before? No. So the theory is, and I hope I'm getting the name right, but I'm pretty sure I am. That due to minerals, due to the composition of certain stones, they have the ability to record energy, record and store energy.
Oh, neat. No, I had no
So,
idea.
for example, if you take granite or you take quartz, like quartz is what you find in your
Oh, we've talked about
devices,
this
right? We've talked about this
Okay.
before. I don't know if we
But
talked
I've
about
never
it on
that
tape.
name.
So the rocks that are in that area can trap something and replay
Energies.
it, right? And replay it as a ghost,
Okay.
or at least a recording of a ghost, right? So you're talking much more of a, the kind of ghost you can't interact with, or the kind of, but just like a psychic recording, if you will.
Okay.
So being in that area, like when I was thinking back on it, I'm like, well, you know what? I wonder if, especially the rocks that we encountered, the shells that we encountered maybe, but the fact that that water would have to be heavily mineraled back in the day to have such like a vital spring might have trapped something. And that the singing might be something like that.
Well,
That the singing might be the result of noises or recordings, voices, singing,
Well-
whatever, trapped in that area based on the mineral
right.
content.
I agree with that. It's funny that you say that because think about Native American religion. What do they worship? They worship the earth around them. Water, again, like you said,
Right.
being a primary element. So it's safe to say that rituals would have occurred on the water or near the water.
Right.
Loud voices, impassioned bodies. So yeah, if it was mineralized, it would have recorded that for sure.
Or may have recorded that. I don't know if you could say for sure, but like, it would definitely be an explanation.
No, I mean that is definitely a plausible theory.
Yeah, you know?
Absolutely.
So, and that's something that may have been heard. it's a paranormal explanation. Still makes a lot more sense than palmetto
Tannic acid.
tannic acid.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe we're wrong about that. Maybe they're like, oh my word.
Hashtag tannic acid if
Hash-
somebody is listening.
Right, if they know
Right.
that explanation better than us. But so we got to, shall we call it, I don't know, Glass Island?
Where we shoot up island.
Where we should. So we park. We're there for probably
Hold on.
45 minutes.
Aspetta.
Yes.
The steps that lead to nowhere.
Oh yes, another.
We parked on the side of the road next to a pair of steps that led to nowhere.
Yeah,
on
not
the
really
river.
sure what they were supposed to be signifying or be to like pointing out. They just, much like, what was that little boy's name? Christopher, right?
Right.
Much like Christopher's stairway to nowhere, these stairs led to nothing. It didn't, and there wasn't even like a foundation beyond it that you're like, oh, the thing that it led to is gone now, but you can see the remnants of it, and these stairs led to it. They were just stairs.
Just stairs, that's it.
Just stairs.
On the Manatee River.
I'm not sure if they maybe had something to do with the power plant or the processing center that was across the street. Like maybe, but it didn't seem, because it's not like there was something beyond it. They were literally stairs and then the drop off to the river.
Right, there was nothing.
So unless you were supposed to run up the stairs like Rocky and jump into the river for some reason.
Maybe that was the Rocky Bluff, just on the wrong side of the river.
And a different kind of, no, it's not rocks, it's Rocky Balboa Bluff.
Right.
Oh, we just nicknamed it. That's why it's shorter. So
Anyway, after the steps to nowhere, we walked.
We walked down to Glass Island.
Glass Island is this little tiny shore, and we were there at low tide. So-
Right, we were there at low tide, so we got out into the river.
Right.
Essentially, we put the tape recorder down
On a rock stemming from the river.
on rocks stemming from the river.
I mean, there was what would you call that? Like a seawall off
Yes,
of a road. And we jumped down, and there was 3 little, like, concrete.
Yeah, it was definitely set up to keep the water on one side and the rest of the world on the other. So those things that we ended up crawling down on were made to
Reinforce that.
wall.
Okay.
So
That's what we climbed down on. Of course, I almost busted my booty from some algae, and there was lots of broken glass everywhere.
lots of broken glass everywhere. And when we went back there a week later, we went at a totally different time, and we had access to none of that.
None of that. No.
None of that. Like, we
Covered
were
with
like,
water.
you love this kid. Oh, we can't go out into the.
Right. Can't,
So the good
can't
news
actually
was
touch the water.
they were actually able to get into the water a little bit and touch it and stuff like that, but they weren't able to get out as far as we were for the
Right.
tape recorder.
Right.
So we put the tape recorder down. We're there for about
I want to say one thing. Really
45
quick.
minutes.
Really quick.
Okay.
I didn't notice how bad it smelled until we were there with the kids.
Oh, I did.
You did.
I did. I think I may actually commented on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think I said it smells like Cape Coral around here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So-
no, I mean, it was stinky. It was bad.
Right.
It was really bad.
Like a sulfur smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like that egg smell
Yeah, just a
that you
really-
get from.
Well, and like algae, like
Right.
I don't know how best to describe, just dirty water,
Yeah.
you know. So, anyways,
Although the dirty water aspect of it didn't seem to be like pollution dirty. It seemed to be.
animal dirty.
It seemed to be
like
riverbed.
riverbed
Right,
dirty.
like-
Yeah, exactly.
So, we put the tape out there, literally in the river.
On a rock, yeah.
Yeah, on a rock out in the river.
was
Spoilers, we got nothing
Right.
from it. So we analyzed that tape on the way home. There were 2 times where there was like a weird, like, that was unusual. A lot of, the only thing that to me seemed as if it were unusual is there seemed to be several times where, and by several I mean like at least 5, where the tape recorder was picked up.
Oh, really?
So you hear like the rustling of like something like when you move the tape recorder, which we didn't. So
Right.
maybe the wind moved it
I mean, the
an
wind.
inch or something.
Yeah, right.
Although, in terms of creating some kind of baseline, if we look back at some of the other stuff that we've done, you could hear motorcycles in the background that we were able to identify as motorcycles.
Right.
We made note of that. You were able to hear the sirens. So we did discover, which is kind of good if we're talking about Tripping on Legends discovering how to best do this. That tape recorder, very sensitive.
Very sensitive.
So it picked up those things. So
We were maybe.
I
what,
still
10
argue that
feet?
Oak Ridge, motorcycles.
They
Those
were
noises
not
that we
there.
got. But we're able to at least prove that the tape recorder, the little tape recorder, that could, man, like it picks up everything. Because you could even hear us mumbling maybe 50 feet away.
Were we that far away?
Well, 50 feet, yeah, not yards, but 50 feet away.
Okay.
I mean, I would think maybe 30.
Okay.
You know, somewhere between that
Yeah,
range.
I mean, and we were talking. I read a poem next to the shore.
We did a Facebook Live video
Right.
from there
Mm-hmm.
of you reading it.
You know, just trying to pay homage to the river and as well just kind of spark anything that may have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, nothing.
Nothing.
The only thing.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think it's nothing, so.
So the only thing, and this could have just been Jedi mind tricks, was all of a sudden, like, we're almost ready to leave. I think at this point we're like, all right, well, we've been here for long enough.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the water became eerily lit up. Illuminated, I should say.
It's also worth noting that happened when, not only when you read the poem, but when that club stopped playing, when the sirens stopped, so the river itself actually got quiet.
Right. Right, quieter. So we'd been there for long enough where the music stopped playing and blaring from all the different clubs around us. So civilization was coming to
Going to
bedtime.
bed, yeah.
Going to bed. So the water, and there's not like high rises or anything on this river. That should be noted as well. So it's not like it's city pollution.
Right.
You know, light pollution. So all of a sudden from the left.
It's actually
on the right,
fairly dark.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, the town of Bradenton went to sleep.
Right. So from the right came this almost like a foggy light on the top of the river.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of lit everything up. And I'm like, Chris, do you see that? And you're like, yeah, and it seemed to be spreading slowly.
Spreading and got brighter.
Right, it spread and it got lighter. And then all of a sudden, from the middle of our vantage point, there was a dark shadow, but only on like the top of the river. And it grew in size. So all of a sudden,
And between that and the lights, so between the lights and or the brighter,
yeah.
the tide changed.
Oh, really?
Like, and I make note of it in the recording that it's almost as if the water is being pushed to our side. Like there actually were a little bit of waves.
Oh, I didn't even notice
there was
that.
definitely a change in the complexion of the water.
Oh, see, I saw the ripples out in the middle of the river because I could actually see that because it was illuminated.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice anything near us.
It made its way to us from that, generating from that area.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we're quite a ways away from the actual middle of the river.
Right.
So I saw this like mass, just like what it looked like to me was if you're looking down into water that's dark, and you can't see anything. It looked not something like was above it, but something was below it rising. Okay. Like an old trunk or something. Just think about you're bringing your hand up from the water and you can see the darkness of it, you know, one shade darker than what the water is coming up to you. Mm-hmm. So that's what it was. And
it's important to note that this isn't an ocean. This is a river.
A river.
And so if you've been on the ocean, you know, or anywhere in this area, the temperature affects water. So there's different colors in the water, and those are reflected, like that temperature difference by darker or lighter patches of water. But this is a lake, which is a pretty consistent temperature, and also appeared. So it's not even like it all of a sudden got cold, or I don't know what darker water represents. I think it's colder, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not like all of a sudden something magically happened and that area got colder for some reason.
No, it just all of a sudden appeared in the middle of the lake.
Right.
Or the river, excuse me. The shape amassed. And then it went away.
It went away. We tried to record it, tried to take pictures of it.
Right.
I've tried to play with it to see if I can get any kind of contrast, and I'm not really able to.
Wow.
To pull anything up.
But I swear it happened. I mean, I swear on
Yeah.
hand to God, like I was watching it get lighter, lighter, lighter. This shape arose from the bottom of the river, and then it was gone.
And then it was gone.
Right.
No singing though.
No singing,
No
no
singing.
singing, no humming, nothing. You know,
So-
and it kind of made me bummed, but at the same time,
I was like, civilization has deafened it.
And
got
every
rid of
bit
it.
of and every reference to the legend that we've had has said something to the effect of, you don't hear the singing much more, but
I mean, this used to be so relevant. They used to have singing parties down by the shore.
right.
In the early 1900s, people would come to listen, you know, and they would hear it and they would party with it,
Excuse me.
you know, so it was relevant, and now it's just gone.
Now it's just gone. So I mean, it seems as if it's, you know, if we're going to do like a 5-minute wrap up of what we think about the legend, or less, maybe a natural phenomenon by some weird chemical reaction, maybe a paranormal explanation like stone tape theory, captured some ceremony from long ago, or series of ceremonies from long ago layered on
Right.
each other.
Right.
But definitely impactful to its community. Definitely something that built and runs through the history of Manatee
And
County.
it's still there to be found to this day.
It's still there to be found.
All of this supporting information is there, and it's easily accessible. You don't have to go search the interwebs or go to the library. It's all right there.
Yeah.
In the historical village, in Indian Springs Park, you know, it's all right there for anybody to go see and follow. And I'm really hoping that the people do, that they go and pay their respects to what once was a huge part of Native American culture and early settler culture.
Early settler culture.
You
Right.
know?
So, you know, tripped it.
Tripped it.
Nothing discovered except for really cool history.
Really cool history. Really cool local history. You know?
So,
Episode 12, tripping on...
tripping on singing the river.
No,
I don't know.
no.
But next episode, which will hopefully come in pretty succession within a week, will be the kids' version.
How are we
of
going
the
to
same
do
place.
the king version? How are we going to do
Well,
that?
we can at least talk about our preparation for it
Okay.
and what happened there and kind of the differences were and kind of how to go about educationally tripping with your kids.
Yeah, because it's awesome.
It'll be a little lesson, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would consider adult version at least, Singing River closed
For sure.
for now. I mean,
I
we're going
mean-
to contact that woman.
I would love to
You know?
go see the one in Mississippi and talk to her. Yeah.
So that's might be part of our Hateful Eight, which we'll talk about in a few weeks.
Our Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. I'm trying to Dirty Dozen, Hateful Eight. I'll
Ew.
discuss it afterwards.
Yeah, no, I don't like Hateful Eight. That sounds like...
But you like Dirty Dozen?
No, we're not going to be gone for 12 days.
So, for Tripping on Legends this week, I'm Christopher Balzano,
I'm Natalie Crist.
and here's hoping that all your trips
Our legendary.